Шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues, we continue our working day, and I give the floor to Presidential Administration Spokesman on ATO-related issues, Colonel Oleksandr Motuzyanyk. Good afternoon, everyone. Now, to your attention are the events that happened in the ATO area during the last 24 hours. The situation in the region of ATO is characterized by some de-escalation. The number of armed provocations delivered by the militants decreased and now reached the level of the first days of September, when after negotiations initiated by the President of Ukraine as to installing the ceasefire on the line of confrontation, the militants decreased the number of shellings when political leadership of European states came to Donbass. 3 Europarliamentarians 2 days ago, Rebecca Harms, Mikhail Boni and Ramir Shetina, together with the Vice Speaker of the Supreme Council, Irina Gerashchenko, visited Mariinka, and they could see how the militants violate ceasefire nearly every day. That's why sanctions against Russian Federation and comprehensive support of Ukraine should continue. The topic of comprehensive ceasefire will also be raised during today's meeting of Trilateral Contact Group in Minsk. And now the information in more detail during the last 24 hours. In Lugansk area, there's full ceasefire. There were no armed provocations observed. In the Donetsk area, for the first time, there were no provocations in the region of Avdiivka and in the region of the Donetsk airport and villages that are nearby. At the same time, the militants opened fire in the suburbs of Gorlovka, near Mayorsk and Zaitsevo, and near Lugansk village that is in so-called Svetlodarsk Bulge. At that, the militants used small arms, and twice they delivered fire from APCs. That happened near Lugansk and Zaitsevo. The militants once used heavy weapons, launching one mine from the mortar 120 millimeters. On the whole, in the Donetsk area, the militants violated ceasefire 5 times. And the Mariupol direction, illegal armed formations didn't use heavy weapons. Armed provocations happened in Mariinka and Starognatovka. At that, the militants used small arms. And in the night from 19th to 20th of September, the militants used APCs, and also armed provocation with the use of small arms was observed in the region of Pavlopol. On the whole, in Mariupol area, there were 8 violations of ceasefire. During the last 24 hours, in the result of the military actions, no Ukrainian serviceman was killed or wounded. According to the information provided by the Chief Intelligence Department of MOD, Russia continued to supply military equipment to its occupation contingent in the east of Ukraine. To the Baltseva, they brought 150 tons of ammunition, 2 self-propelled artillery systems, and 70 tons of shells for Grads. And to Donetsk, they brought 3 tanks T-64, 7 trucks for Tiger vehicles, and 5 tanks with fuel and lubricant materials. And to Ambrovsivka, they brought 27 fuel trucks. Russian ammunition also is brought to Lugansk Oblast. From Ilovaisk, 6 tanks on platforms went to the direction of Kharkiv, and to Rovinki they brought 12 tanks with diesel fuel. Russian occupation commanders include militants in engineering and household works. And that's why the militants are not satisfied, and some of them desert. And during 18th and 19th of September, 23 militants of so-called 2nd Brigade Lugansk sent their resignations. And the leaders of these militant formations, Alexei Bogakov and Andrei Flaralov, these are the majors of Russian Federation Armed Forces, they just put these people into dump well, and this deteriorated moral and psychological state of the militants. SBU found caches of ammunition. Law enforcers confiscated 2 grenade launchers and a lot of cartridges, 7.62 millimeter of caliber in Zaporozhye Oblast. A man was trying to hide this ammunition. And also in Liman, that is in Luganshina, special forces found cache of arms with thousands of cartridges, 2 machine guns, and for preliminary information that belonged to the militants. Ukrainian Marines gained best practices from their Western allies. The instructors from the United States and Europe started 2-week courses, in the framework of which they will train sergeants that serve in Marine forces, and this will be the opportunity to gain new experience and to share the experience for our servicemen. And also special forces of the National Guard continue to increase their capabilities. In the framework of field exercises, special forces worked in battle groups. They were trained in revealing and destroying illegal armed groups in mountainous and wooded theater of operations. They were trained for 4 days, and the National Guardsmen used different types of weapons, and they had some orientation training, and these trainings were held during day and at night as well. So if there are no questions, this is the end of press conference. Goodbye, and dear colleagues, the next event is at 1 p.m.